Hello and welcome to Bags of Action. My name is Pete and this is a 5-minute Bags of Action review of Baby Driver from 2017. Baby Driver was written and directed by Edgar Wright, famous for Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz and Scott Pilgrim. So what is Baby Driver about? After being coerced into working for a crime boss, a young getaway driver finds himself taking part in a heist doomed to fail. So who's in this movie? Ansel Elgort is the titular Baby Driver. He's from Divergent, Insurgent and Allegiant. Jon Bernthal, of course, from The Punisher and Walking Dead on TV, and Widows and Fury on the big screen. Jon Hamm from TV's Mad Men, who also appeared in Sucker Punch and The A-Team. Eiza González, recently seen in Bloodshot and Akita Battle Angel. British actress Lily James from Yesterday and Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Kevin Spacey. Flea, who's of course a famous bass player with the Red Hot Chili Peppers and lots of other bands, who's also appeared in things like The Big Lebowski, The Chase and Back to the Future 2 and 3. Lanny June from Takers and lots of different TV shows. And finally Jamie Foxx, recently seen in Project Power and also Robin Hood. Now, I remember being really put off by the trailer for this movie when it came out. I think it was just the fact that the lead was so young and it was a car-based film. I just couldn't really get on board with it, but I still ended up going to see it in the cinema. Now, I am actually a big fan of this movie. It throws you straight into the action at a bank robbery and sets up quite how brilliant a driver Baby is, helped by the music he plays on one of his many iPods. So, I was thinking about it, I love heist films. I love 90s movies. That was my cinema and home viewing heyday. And in so many ways, this feels like a film from the 90s. I love music across all genres. I love clever editing. So despite not being a car guy as such, in many ways, this film could have been made for me. Now, there is much more heart in this movie than the original trailer suggested, and it's a love story as much as anything else between Baby and Deborah, the waitress played by Lily James. Now, on second viewing, the stylised feel of this film is more obvious. The two leads are very grounded, but the criminals are really heightened over-the-top characters. Those playing the robbery crews really seem to be enjoying the roles. The likes, of Jamie Foxx and Flea, Jon Hamm, Jon Bernthal really are kind of chewing the scenery. Now, Baby Driver is a film that I don't think is for everyone, and I know some of those kind of stylistic aspects of it are quite divisive. But if you can get on board with things like lyrics to songs appearing on signs or in graffiti, but then you'll like this film. But if you can't get past that, you may struggle. The two leads, as I say, are really good. Kevin Spacey kind of does his usual thing, but it's probably the right choice here because if he went too heightened, I think there'd be too much going on. What I really like about this film is the combination of music and action. The precision choreography in the car chases, the crashes and the shoot-ups is electrifying. Like the way that a gunfight is perfectly timed to Hocus Pocus by Dutch prog band Focus is genius. The soundtrack to this film is amazing. I personally bought into all the stylistic choices. I see it as being, this is the world how Baby sees it, and you just got to go along with that ride. And given his backstory in the film, that makes sense to me, and it adds a layer of emotional kind of depth that maybe wouldn't be there otherwise. Yes, there's an otherworldly feel to this film, but that's because that's how Baby feels about what he's doing. For me, Edgar Wright is a great filmmaker. Hot Fuzz, probably my favourite of his films. He's a real auteur, and seeing him do something so unique in the action genre was exhilarating for me. In a world full of franchises and setups for future movies, this really stood out as something different and special. It's the kind of film I wish I could make. Now, on first viewing, I might have given this full marks, but in some ways the impact all comes from going in not knowing what to expect and going along for the ride. On a second time viewing it on a small screen, I did notice a few minor flaws that I didn't quite like, and I'm still 50-50 on the way the film ends. So having seen it twice, I'm going to give Baby Driver 4 bags of action out of 5. But having said that, if you haven't seen it and it clicks with you, this is definitely in its own way a 5-bag movie. So if you haven't seen it, I would definitely suggest you do. But if you have seen Baby Driver, do you agree with my assessment of it? Feel free to comment below or get in touch with us. You can do that on email, Facebook, or on Twitter. We have new episodes coming out weekly alongside our full-length podcast. Don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell to get notifications when new episodes land. Bags of Action will always be free, but if you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do that at our Ko-fi page.